If you are planning on going to Coachella this weekend, here's some advice: don't. First off, it's super expensive. Normally tickets for general admissions cost somewhere around $600 to $700, and if you want a VIP ticket, expect to pay 3 times that. Most of the celebrities and influencers who end up going get something called an artist pass, which you can only get by having a connection to a brand or a manager. So even though they are the richest people who are attending the festival, they're the only ones who don't have to pay. If you have the artist or VIP pass, you basically get to stand in front of the entire crowd and get to watch the person performing without anyone blocking your view. But if you are a part of the 99% of people who attend Coachella and just have a general pass, you end up standing way in the back and can barely see anything at all. You end up just staring at the big screen, and at that point you should have just stayed at home because you can stream it on YouTube for free. Not to mention the food is ridiculously overpriced and doesn't even taste that good. It's basically just glorified cafeteria food. If you want an iced coffee, expect to spend somewhere around $12 to $13 for it. For example, this person went to Coachella last year and they ended up spending $60 on 2 burritos and 2 drinks. Next, if you're not insanely rich, going to Coachella is just uncomfortable. If you end up camping on the campgrounds, you will have a miserable experience. People are playing music 24/7, so even at 4 a.m. when you are dead tired and just want to get some sleep because you've been on your feet all day, I can almost guarantee that you won't even get an hour's worth of sleep. If you are rich enough to get an Airbnb or a hotel, you better book it months in advance. Prices are known to quintuple during Coachella weekend in Palm Springs. Even places like the Motel 6, which is normally $50 a night, will end up costing somewhere around $600. So the mainstream hotels will go in the thousands, and Airbnbs are even more than that. Not to mention, if you are camping, the shower situation is gross. You will have to wait hours in line every single day just to take like a 5-minute shower, and people on TikTok are always posting videos saying that most attendees don't even clean up after themselves, so you just feel dirty the whole time. Ironically, for some reason, the crowd at Coachella is always super dead. Like, if you look around, it's almost like no one is singing or dancing along to the music, and everyone just has their phone out and is recording silently. In fact, a few years ago when Tyler, the Creator, was performing, he walked out onto the Coachella stage and started yelling at the audience for being so boring. Pretty much a situation like this happens every single year because everyone is just there for one reason: to take pictures. Not to mention the main stages for the big performers fill up so fast, people will wait at the barricades all day long just so that they can get the best view. And if you want to know how I know these specific details, it's because I unfortunately went to Coachella in 2018. Yes, it was years and years ago at this point, and I wouldn't say I regret it, but I definitely would not do it again. I ended up spending so much money that I could have probably spent on like a trip to Europe. The Airbnb that my friends and I got was $1,000 a night. Okay, there was like 8 of us to be fair, so we were splitting everything, but even to this day, all these years later, I cannot justify the price. I went during the year where Beyonce was playing, and that is notoriously known for being the most crowded Coachella ever. I remember on the night that she was performing, we couldn't even get within a mile of the stage because of how many people there were, so we ended up just pulling up YouTube on our phone and started watching it while we were at the actual festival. The first day is usually the most fun because that's when you have the most energy, but by the second and third day, you've inhaled so much dust, you've been walking around all day that you just feel like you're gonna die. Not to mention the Uber situation is absolutely out of control. Thankfully, our Airbnb was not more than a 5-minute drive, so I think we ended up walking 1 or 2 of the nights. But if you're trying to get an Uber, expect to wait at least 3 hours for it to pull up. Not to mention the surcharges are absolutely insane. Some people report spending $200 to $300 for a single 15-minute ride. And never forget when Frank Ocean was supposed to perform at Coachella, I think it was 2 years ago now. He ended up basically canceling his performance at the last minute. Keep in mind, this was his first live show in over 6 years, so many people were excited to see him. However, this year, even though there hasn't been a lot of talk around it, and a lot of people didn't even know that Coachella was happening this weekend, Airbnb has reported the most rentals that they have ever seen in Coachella Valley, meaning that there is going to be a record-breaking number of attendees this year. Basically, unless you're obscenely rich or famous or someone else is paying for it, Coachella is not worth going to.